there is an issue when it comes to sub $100 IEMs. They're getting too good. Headphone highlights. Today we've got the Simgot EA500 Limited. Look at this beautiful box. Oh my goodness. Simgot sure knows how to do packaging right. These are a sub $100 IEM, just under $100 with an MSRP of $89.99. Before we get too far into it, these were provided to me by Simgot for this review, so thank you very much, Simgot. But as always, all thoughts, words, and opinions are going to be my own. And for additional context, the vast majority of my testing of this IEM was done on the iFi HipDAC 3. Very cool thing. Review coming soon. Let's get into it with the build. Here they are, the beautifully shiny, chromy EA500 Limited. They're lovely. They're absolutely really beautiful IEMs, in my opinion. Chrome's going to be something you either are cool with or you're not. They're definitely, as you can see, boop. I don't know how well the camera's picking that up, but they do tend to be fingerprint magnets because of just how shiny and chromy they are. But I think they're really lovely. They look great, and they're built substantially well. These are all metal chassis, all metal shells on here, and they're genuinely beautiful. On the very front, see if I can show this off. On the very front here, you do have the subtle logo there. And then here on the back, we do have very easy to read, thank God, left and right indicators right there on the shell. Lovely. They're great. Wonderful design. So yes, the shells are amazing. What these IEMs are actually DMDC drivers. That stands for dual magnet and dual cavity dynamic drivers. So these are actually dynamic driver IEMs, not planars. We've not had a dynamic IEM for some time here on the channel, so that's pretty exciting. In terms of accessories, we get this cable for one, which is a great cable. It feels wonderful. It's a pretty simple weave, just a little dual weave there. But it feels great in the hand. It drapes. It's lovely. I'm not worried about it ever really getting super tangled up or anything. And it terminates to a simple gold 2-pin connector right there. So they're easy, pretty easy to find, pretty standard, and does great. Works great. They are also marked. You have a little red dot right there, if you can see that, to mark your right channel, and then a little blue dot, which is a little bit hard to see here on the camera, but there's a little blue dot there for your left channel. So makes it really easy to know how to set this thing up. This cable, as nice as it is, does terminate to just a simple 3.5mm. I do wish that they offered a 4.4 pentagon option with this IEM, either a modular cable with an attachable termination here to make it 4.4, maybe just give me a 4.4 option. That would have been nice, but that's just being a little nitpicky. But yeah, the cable's great. I really like the cable. The cable's very nice. Other things it came with, first of all, this box is beautiful. If you haven't already, the unboxing experience is linked in the description if you'd like to watch that. But yes, packaging is great. I love this box. I don't even want to throw this thing away. It's shiny and beautiful and fun and cool. But in the box, you're going to have this little carrying case. It's a very simple carrying case. As you can see, there's no branding on it anywhere. It's just a simple black plain case. It's not really a hard shell, it's a little, but it's stiff. Nice stiff shell. Not worry about anything damaging the inside of whatever you put in here. And then inside it's just a, very simple, basic kind of case. But what's not basic are these. These are interchangeable tuning nozzles. So you can swap out the nozzle on the IEMs to tune it to basically however you want. We'll talk a little bit more about this later. But yes, you do get interchangeable tuning nozzles along with additional O-rings to make sure you have a nice, snug, tight seal. In terms of our ear tips, this is really all you get. You just have these basic small, medium, large ear tips. They're kind of whatever. Again, that's something I do wish that they provided more of. I wish that there were a bit more options when it comes to the tips, because tips can really be a big factor in how things fit in terms of comfort and snugness and sealing and also tuning. So that would have been nice. But again, that's just being a little bit nitpicky. Okay, so let's talk about the fit and comfort of the EA500s. They fit really well. It's an excellent fit. Even with the basic silicone tips, they fit really great. I have really great isolation. I can't hear my fan anymore. I can't hear my PC anymore. And my voice is extremely muffled. So really good, excellent passive noise isolation. And even though they are an all metal chassis and all metal shell, they're very light. So I don't really have any weight fatigue in the ear. And the shape here of the shell, it fits excellently in my ear canal. It's a wonderful fit. They're not going to rattle around at all. I don't feel them moving one bit. And they're just snug in there, and they're lightweight. They're great. And I have been able to use these either through listening sessions or even gaming sessions for hours and hours without any fatigue. For me, that's a pretty big deal because I tend to get a lot of ear fatigue with IEMs. And now let's talk sound performance. These sound amazing. These sound excellent. But if we're going to be talking about the sound performance of the EA500s, then there is a bit of an elephant in the room that we need to discuss along with it. And that elephant are these, the EW200s. We reviewed these not too long ago, also a Simgot IEM, and they're fantastic. They're wonderful. We love them. But they need to be here and be part of the discussion when we're talking about the sound performance of the EA500 Limited, because both of these IEMs go for the same basic Harman target. And as a result, they sound very, very similar in terms of their frequency response. But the EW200s are half the price. So what exactly are we getting here? Are the EA500s better? Yes, absolutely. They are better, for sure. Are they twice as good? Well, that's a little bit difficult to say. There are a lot of similarities between these two, obviously, because the frequency response is basically kind of the same. But there are some pretty significant difference. So let's talk about this in terms of what are you getting? What's the comparison here? What do you gain with the EA500s versus the EW200s? So while the frequency response here is very similar, it is approached in very different ways. With the EA500s, you're getting immediately a wider soundstage. Quite a bit wider. I was pretty surprised by just how wide the EA500s sound. They sound really immersive, a very wide, very natural sort of immersion with your EA500s, and combining that with its excellent image performance. Really, really excellent imaging. A much wider, more separating and detailed imaging that you get out of the EW200s. So that extra separation coupled with that extra soundstage just makes it for a much more cinematic experience overall. They're excellent if you really want to have this kind of theatrical experience, whether you're listening to, big orchestras that are really, really layered with all sorts of different instruments, or if you're gaming. They are such a great gaming headphone because of the sound staging and the imaging. My goodness. You're also getting much better bass performance. It's again very similar in terms of where in that frequency the bass is coming from, but the overall clarity and cleanliness of the bass range in the EA500 is more impressive than in the 200s. It hits harder, it hits deeper, and it just feels more dynamic without it feeling like it's bleeding or blooming anywhere it shouldn't be. I do also think that the 500s are much faster. I'm getting a lot more kind of high tempo intensity out of the 500s than I do out of the 200s. Things are a lot more quicker and snappier and can keep up better with really crazy high tempo. In both cases, the bass performance is really, really great and really, really fun. You get plenty of really nice, impactful sub bass and really booming, enjoyable bass range and mid bass. But again, the 500s give you much more information in that bass range. You're hearing more details in the bass range than you do out of the 200s. Things pop out more, things are more transparent. Even if the bass range might even be just a little bit more impactful than it is in the 200s, you're still getting more information. So more punch and kick and impact and fun, but also more detail. I do feel that the 500s are not quite as bright as the 200s here. The 200s do a really excellent job in the highs, but sometimes they can get maybe not quite fatiguing, but nearing kind of the edge of fatiguing. At least for me, they kind of edge a little bit on it. The 500s seem to smooth it out a little bit. I wouldn't call it necessarily a treble roll-off. It's not like it's not hitting as high as the 200s. It's presenting it in a much less fatiguing sort of way. It's still hitting those notes, but I don't feel it as sharp and metallic-y as I do in the 200s. It seems a lot more natural in the 500s. So yes, they're basically better in every category from the 200s in almost every way. So we're going to put the 200s over there because, yeah, they sound fabulous. They sound remarkably good, extremely impressive. But again, we mentioned this earlier, you can tune these. You have adjustable nozzle tips. So let's talk about that a little bit. So the nozzle tips, you get 3. Again, these O-rings are just for ensuring that your nozzles have a nice seal. But I'll show you what the nozzles look like and maybe how those nozzles attach. So right out of the box, the IEMs come stock with these gold nozzles. They're kind of a brass coppery color. But you get, again, 3 options. The ones that are already installed on the units, and you get 2 more. And they attach really, really simply. All you gotta do is just screw them on, screw them off. That's all there is. Screw that back on. And you'll see there's the O-ring there that you can replace if you need to with all the extra O-rings that he provided you to ensure you get a nice, snug seal. So that's how that works. In terms of the change in sound and what you get. Now, to be clear, the tuning that you get from swapping out the nozzles, I would say is very, very subtle. I'm going to put up on screen right here the graph that Simgot provides on their product page of how they say it measures differently. And you can go ahead and pause the video and look at this harder if you want to. But basically, I don't notice that big of a change. There are some subtle changes, but they're pretty minimal. In general, though, I tend to prefer the golden tips, the golden nozzles. I think that they kind of provide the most benefit for this IEM. They kind of make the IEM shine the most in what it's capable of. And the gold in particular delineate the sound quality and the sound signature from the EW200s more than the other nozzles do. Especially the silver and black nozzles. The silver and black nozzles sound almost indistinguishable from the EW200s. You still obviously get a little bit more detail in there, but otherwise it's almost identical in terms of how they sound. So if you really want to have your EW200s, but twice as expensive, then sure, go with the silver tips with the black O-rings. But I actually, for my preference, prefer the gold nozzles here. The gold nozzles just give you extra impact, extra detail, especially in the bass range. You get the widest staging, the widest separation, and it just overall provides, in my opinion, the best and most engaging listening experience for the 500s. With the red nozzles, they kind of reduce the bass range a little bit, maybe makes it a little bit more natural sounding, a little bit leaning more towards neutral. So the silver and reds kind of calm things down a little bit and really make things a bit more natural sounding. The silver and blacks basically just turn it into a EW200, and the brass color, gold color ones are, again, my preference because they make them sound different. They make them sound different from the 200s in what I consider to be a much more pleasing, much more enjoyable way. But anyway, overall, the EA500 Limiteds are extremely impressive. The performance you get out of these for under $100 is just insane. I fully admit I'm much more of an over-ear headphone kind of guy. That's probably no surprise to you if you're familiar with the channel. But I have to admit that the value you get out of these is really stunning, really pretty freaking astonishing. There's that word again. And to the point where I don't know if I have many sub $100 over-ear headphones that can compete with these and what they can do. Man, they sound really, really effing good. I do wish that the cable came with a 4.4 pentagon, and I do wish that they had more options in terms of the ear tips. The silicone ear tips are fine, but I wish they had some foam ones. I wish they had some hybrids. That would have been really nice and help you kind of get more tuning options out of it. But those are all, again, very nitpicky. So the big question is going to be, are they worth twice as much as the EW200s? Well, that's really hard to say. But what I can say is I think I like them about twice as much. So take that how you will. That's about it. Hope you enjoyed this. Simgot, thank you again for providing the EA500 Limited here on the channel for this review. And I will be seeing you all again very soon.